Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep eating if you've still got main course in front of you, but we're going to get stuck into our main event this afternoon. Looking forward to inviting our panellists up onto the stage to talk all things goals. Before I do that though, as many of you will know already, one of our valued charity partners is Miners Promise, a fantastic organisation, and a portion of each ticket sale at our luncheons go to Miners Promise. So far this year, you guys have helped us raise over $13,000. So thank you to everyone who's come along and contributed over the months we've been doing that, probably a year or so we've been doing that, yes, about a year. Really proud of the partnership. They do some incredible work, Miners Promise, so hopefully that's a partnership that will continue long into the future. Before we get our speakers up to the stage, just a reminder on how to participate in the online Q&A this afternoon. Easiest way is just to scan that QR code there. That will take you straight to the session that we're in this afternoon. If you'd like to submit a question, feel free, and time permitting, we'll get to as many of those as we can at the end of our chat. If you want to go the old school way and go to the website, it's slido.com. No AU, just slido.com, and punch in that code there on the screen, 25SEP, and it will take you there as well. So, to our guests this afternoon, Rob Ryan, firstly. Rob, as the current CEO of Mineral Mining Services, Rob is a results-driven mining executive with over 20 years of experience, known for his strong leadership and strategic direction. His expertise, honed through multiple CEO and managing director roles at ASX-listed companies, lies in combining high-level corporate management with deep operational knowledge of both open pit and underground mining to consistently drive growth and technical excellence. Thank you, Rob. Next up is Luke Cray, a mining engineer with over 20 years' experience working for both contracting and mining companies at projects throughout Australia and overseas. He's currently the managing director at Ora Banda Mining, which is focused on creating value through growth driven by a strategic shift to high-grade underground mining. Prior to his time at Ora Banda, he held various senior positions within Northern Star, including COO, GM of Business Development, GM Strategy and Growth and Operations. So thank you, Luke. Finally, a warm welcome to Paul Smirlik, a mining engineer with over 25 years of experience. He's worked in numerous production, planning and corporate roles during his career and has worked in both executive and non-executive board positions for a number of mining and exploration companies. He's been the managing director at Pantoro Gold since 2012, where he's overseen acquisition, development and operation of two WA mine operations at Halls Creek and Norseman. So would you please welcome our panellists for this afternoon. You can hear me now, there we go. Of course, we're here to talk all things gold, but I thought I've given you a little bit of an intro there. I might ask all of you to just give us a few minutes, an update on where your projects are at the moment.
Sure thing. So Norseman's going along very nicely at the moment. We purchased our initial interest in 2019. We built a new plant and got operations up and running in early 2023. Took a little longer to get there than we expected, but we're at our sort of planned 100,000 ounces per annum run rate now, and we've got a really big program in place to grow that out to 200,000 ounces over the next couple of years. So lots of underground and open pit mining going on, but lots of drilling going on as well.
Yep, fantastic. Luke?
Yeah, very similar to Paul actually. So we took an old belt, unloved for 100 years, and just focused on underground rather than open pit. So 3 years into that, we feel like we're getting started. We've gone from 50,000 ounces to 150 this year, and we think we can do a hell of a lot more. So it's going to be an exciting few years ahead for us.
Yeah.
Well, contrary to both Paul and Luke, Mineral Mining Services open pit mining contractor. Plus, we've got a bit of a different twist whereby we currently have a joint venture with Black Cat Syndicate out at the Maurie Gold Project just east of Kalgoorlie. So that's a 45,000 ounce open pit that we sort of profit share with mining that one. We're going to use the profits from that open pit to develop our own open pit, which is just north of Kalgoorlie. That should start in the next 2 months. That's probably about 25,000 ounces that'll be mined over the next 6 months, and we'll look to develop out a JV profile. We've also got a core contract mining businesses of 3 or 4 main contracts that will continue to sort of underpin the business as we grow.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you guys get asked this very, very regularly, but I'm going to do it anyway because you're here. The gold price at the moment, I mean, it seems like we're talking about a new record every other day at the moment.
Isn't it lovely?
Look at that smile. You should have a gold teeth smile. You should, what do they call it? Your grill, get a golden grill there happening. The gold price though, I mean, how high can it go?
Oh, look, there's a lot of optimism at the moment. I think that the world's sort of accepted that there's been a step change in the need for gold in underwriting currencies and its place as a commodity. And so, depending on how you look at how that gold's going to back those currencies, I think there's crazy estimates of how high it could go out there. But certainly there's a real undertone from major banks and industry sort of analysts that are much smarter than me and know a lot more about the gold price than me, that they think there's still a strong bit of growth to go in this cycle.
Yeah, okay. I noticed you didn't put a number on it, but I mean, it's gone up about, a bit over 40% just in this calendar year, 2025. I mean, take your mind back to, say, last Christmas. Could you imagine back then that we'd be where we are now, 9 or so months ago?
No, actually, I put in some zero-cost collars a little bit more than 12 months ago, and the collars at $4,200 an ounce, so it's a little bit out of the money at the moment. We said, if it got to $5,000, it'll be out of the money, but we'll be really happy. So certainly we didn't see it happening that fast.
Luke, when you're sort of making assessments about projects for the next, say, couple of years, you must have to factor in what the gold price is likely to be at, or at least a minimum, a base for what it's at. I mean, where do you go to try to pluck that number?
Oh, many different places depending on what you're drilling. I think it's always like the strategy. You do your strategy over multiple years with the assumptions, but be adaptable to the macro environment, and that's not just going up; that's going down as well. So, you think back 3 years ago, the world moves quickly, but everyone was talking about gold going to zero, that it was a dead storage of wealth, and that was only 3 years ago when I first started at Ora Banda. You look now, and I think that's fully pivoted to we see gold as an accepted storage of wealth compared to things like Bitcoin and global currencies. So I think to give you a number, it'll get to 10,000. We just don't know when, whether that's 1 year or 50 years, right? So it seems to be anchored to that inflation and sort of as that storage. But from a business perspective, you're always trying to get costs out. But if you are seeing increased costs or you're picking deposits that are higher costs, acknowledge that and then have a plan if it does pull back.
Yep.
Or you do things like puts. So everyone's got a different strategy in their business, but don't bank on everything going up forever. Risk everything accordingly. So we risk our business with put options. So
Yep.
put the floor on the gold price. If you told me 12 months ago when gold was, $3,700, that we could put puts in at 5,200 12 months out for $150 each, $140 each, that's outrageous. So you can really protect your revenue line for investment, but also you can strategically place your business to come out of that period really strongly.
Yeah. How have we gotten to this? What are the factors? I mean, so from my observation, people talk about global uncertainty and the safe haven that gold represents for investors. I mean, is it as simple as that, or is it a much more complex picture?
I think it is, and it used to be that gold was very much leveraged against US interest rates as well. But what you've seen over the last few months, is the interest rates haven't necessarily been dropping in the US. There's been talk of it, but the gold price has been going up, and central banks have been buying a lot more gold. I think at the outcome of this, and probably in the last few months, is you've started to see probably that buying slow and more retail market and institutional market pick up on buying gold. So it does look to be that that's starting to take over as a new impetus. So as soon as that money keeps on flowing into gold, the gold price is likely to keep rising over the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
Especially in US dollar terms. Maybe not as much as in Australian dollar terms, as the exchange rate may come down, but definitely in US dollar terms, it looks to be quite strong.
Yeah. I mean, I take the smile from you before, Paul. We're talking about how big the price is at the moment. It's, you know, generally good times. But is it all good, being in a high price environment that we are in at the moment? Does it actually create any challenges that you have to deal with?
Oh, look, I think the biggest challenge, and it has been for a number of years now, is personnel.
Yep.
And adequate numbers of high quality personnel. So that is certainly a factor, but it's been a factor for most of my career, to be very honest.
Right.
And so, you know, is there a downside to having it up and making that a little bit tighter? Probably not. I think the benefits outweigh the difficulties, that's for sure.
Yeah. What about for you, Luke? Any challenges that come with the high costs at the moment?
Oh, not particularly. Operations is always punching you in the face some way. So so the only thing now is like when you're close to the wind, you basically, they can be catastrophic, those punches.
Yeah.
In a high gold price environment, it just gives you a huge amount of wriggle room, not just to, you know, to invest, but also just de-risk the business substantially. So I'm with Smells, like I'm happy to keep it. The biggest thing is don't drag or idle up forever. Like use it to protect your business is probably, you know, proceed with caution, but in a really positive way.
I guess what I'm asking is, like, have your own operational costs also gone up as well? Do you find that contractors come to you and say, well, you guys are doing all right? I might just
They do that regardless.
add a little bit of credit.
We'll just take half your project. Yeah, so like definitely inflationary. The biggest cost I always talk about in booming markets is your productivity loss, capability loss. That is far greater than everything. Like in mining, you know, it's broadly a fixed cost business. You can't suddenly get rid of half your workforce. So if you suddenly are getting 20% less because of skills shortage, because of you can't put people on seats, that kills you more than any other unit cost.
Yeah.
So the more efficient, the more effective you are, the more you can arrest that, the stronger your business is. The risk in booming markets is, you know, as we talk about, the labour shortages impact us a lot.
Yep. Yep. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, like I was about to add before with Luke, you know, the things that are in our control are the cost base that you operate at. You know, making sure that the labour's there to be able to achieve the end outcome, making sure your productivity is there. They're the things that you can control. The gold price is largely, us three here aren't going to influence what the gold price is going to be in 6 months' time. We can benefit from it if it does go up, but the things that will drive the value is making sure that we hold that cost base.
Yeah. Okay. Just noticed a couple of classic questions come in, Paul, which I'll get to you a little bit later. There has been a little bit of M&A activity in the sector, hasn't there, in the last couple of years, probably involving, dare I say, bigger companies than the ones that you guys are currently at. But do you see that continuing and maybe filtering down into the mid-tiers and the smaller operators? Is there going to be a lot of consolidation, do you think? Or is that less likely to happen in a high-price environment?
Should
There's
we
a lot of
announce it now,
similarities
Luke,
between
Oh
the two, isn't there?
that's right. Yeah.
Look, there's constant chatter about it. I think the reality is that there's probably less deals that are close to being closed than deals that are close to being closed. But it's certainly on people's radars, and there's a desire and expectation from certain parts of the investment community as well that companies do get bigger. At the same time, I think that right now people can see companies our sort of size generating good, strong cash and taking a lot of the risk that they've traditionally had out of it, and so they're very happy to sit there and see us generate a lot of cash flow as well.
Yeah. Guys, what are you doing with your cash flows at the moment? Where are you directing it?
Drilling.
Yeah.
Drilling like mad. So we're a data pool. You know, we've taken an old belt that no one's ever drilled for undergrounds. So it's just like we're putting 73 million, which is 330 Ks into the ground. We have to solve that, but we're finding gold at $50 an ounce.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, when you compare that, if you're buying gold, it's at, you know, 5, 6, 5, 7. For us, it's very much an internal organic growth story. But that's notwithstanding, like M&A is a value creation tool. Like people, you know, can get caught up with M&A for M&A's sake. So if you think you can create more value organically, that's where our strategy is, that's what we do. There'll be other companies that feel they can add, you know, a different operating thesis or something and add value through M&A. That's up to them to execute their strategy as well.
Yeah. Any acquisition on the horizon for MMS, Rob?
Oh, look, I think we're quite picky in what we look at, and we do look at a lot of stuff. There is a lot of opportunity out there, especially for further JV work.
Yep.
Now's the opportune time, especially for projects that have a short mine life, that maybe, take that sort of $15 to $20 million worth of sort of capital to put into them, get them up and going, to turn them on and mine them in the next 6 to 12 months and, turn out gold at $5,700 an ounce. There's a lot of opportunity there to make some really good cash flows. And, if you're going to turn around and make $50, $60 million on an open pit, it can really push the bottom line for your company.
Yeah. You've talked about productivity just a moment ago, Paul. Let's talk about the labour aspect of that. It's a story that's been common to the entire industry for some time now, but finding good people, keeping good people, seeing them progress through the ranks, preferably within your own business. How much of a challenge has that been for you?
Oh, look, it's a real challenge to have an adequate number of good people, is what I'd say. I think we've all got teams that we're very happy with and have built over time. We've got a lot of, we built our first mine back in 2015 in Halls Creek, and we've still got a lot of those original people working with us, and we've built a real culture and, a crew of people that we like to operate with. So there's no doubt that we have, a great basis of a team. Building that team out and having the adequate number and all of them being stars, that just doesn't happen. So there's, there's allowances that you have to make for that in productivity, like I say, with the guys. And I think, we've all got to pitch in attracting the next wave of people into the industry at the end of the day.
How do you think we're going with that?
Oh, look, I'd like to think that, on the miners' side, the mine owners and the contractors, that we're all probably doing a little bit more than we did previously. We're actively engaging with schools and getting students out to sites. We have students from the School of Mines that not only do VAC work, but then work part-time through the year. And we're by no means the Lone Ranger on that. I know that there's plenty of companies bigger than us employing a lot more people in that same way. So I think that is the critical way to do it, is to identify those people that are interested in mining. Yep. And throw everything that we can at them to get them into it.
Yep. How are you attracting the best out there? To Ora Banda, Luke?
Oh, we've got a lot already, I feel. No, I think what happens a lot in the industry is we talk about the shortage and we forget about, like Smells alluded to, the capability.
Yep. So
the industry's got incredible capability, incredible talent. And then you really, what you got to do is all the little things, try to get all the people in from school age. You got to try to attract people to come in, but really it's up to every company to put in place good mentoring, good training, all those little things, because as an industry we'll win it, as individual companies we won't. But like culturally you should be in a position to always be trying to get better. So it doesn't matter, like let's say we're in a booming market and you've got a whole bunch of people never done mining. If you've got a good focus to get them better, that's embedded, that only helps the industry. Even if you've got an elite team, you have that embedded, that only helps the industry. So I think as companies now, just that desire or that impetus to just constantly be lifting that bar rather than averaging down, I think that's the challenge that we've got to make sure we don't give up that fight and everyone do that.
Yep. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, look, I agree with both what Paul and Lucas said. What you tend to find is, as your workforce swells, that there tends to be a dilution of obviously your skill set across that workforce. So you need to make sure that you're bringing good people up, whether that's within or whether that's from the outside. Our business at MMS has grown from probably about 50, 60 people less than 2 years ago to 300 plus now. So it is a growing business, but that does create excitement as well and does attract high quality people to want to come and work with you. Probably not too dissimilar to both Pantura and Ora Banda. Both companies have really gone from strength to strength over the last few years.
Yeah.
And that does attract good people. What you've got to then make sure is you keep building those people up. And we need to keep on attracting the best quality to our industry as well.
Yep. With all of the excitement and the buzz around gold at the moment, as a sector, is it Are you finding it's easy to attract people as opposed to other parts of the bigger mining game? Is gold suddenly more attractive for someone just starting out in their career to come and work for a gold miner rather than, say, an iron ore miner?
It's a good question. I think there's different people have different sort of ways in how they like to operate.
Yeah.
Typically gold companies are pretty lean, smaller companies, pretty integrated sort of teams.
Yeah.
Whereas some of those big iron ore mines are, very systems focused, very process focused, and that really suits some people, not others. So I'm not sure about that, but I do know that as our balance sheet has strengthened and people have the confidence that we're not going out the back door in the next 6 months, certainly that has helped attract people.
Yeah. I mean, if when you're trying to pitch for the very best people, what's your sell?
It's just basically like we actively talk to people about, don't join us if you don't want to come and make a difference and grow a company.
Yeah.
So we're super clear in our vision, we're super clear where we want to get to as a premier mid-tier. We sit down and I'll sit down with the upper level people before they come on board and say, if you want steady state, don't join us.
Yeah.
Forget capability, forget talent. If you want to rock up and do the same thing every day, don't join us. We want that proactive, that growing mindset. So for us, it's getting the message absolutely laser clear on what you're signing up for, and then making sure that then you're attracting the best talent to fit that. And that to me is the most important thing, because you get that in, and then we have that continuous improvement ethos.
Yeah.
Like you sort of grow into that.
Yeah. Be curious to know how the three of you first got into mining back in the day. What was the draw for you back then? Let's start with you, Rob.
So, well, my background, mine's a bit accidental actually. I was looking for an engineering degree and a quick way to jump across into mechanical electrical, and met with the lecturer at the School of Mines, and he said, look, it's a common first year, we'll be able to get you across. I did the first year, went away, worked on my mine site vac work up at Big Bell, and absolutely loved it, fell in love with mining. And it's kind of been the story of my sort of career from then that, expected that I was going to do maybe 2 years in Kalgoorlie at most to finish off my degree, spent a year up there, didn't like it, and went fly out. Went back for another year, and that was it, year and I'm done. Stayed there for 19, I think it was. So, yeah, it's got a way of sort of reeling you in mining, I suppose. And, from a guy that grew up in the city to go and live in Kalgoorlie for 18, 19 years, it's definitely been a life-changing
You're
experience.
practically a local there now.
Some might say you're not a local unless you've got Eastern Goldfields Hospital on a birth certificate. But
There's a certain status for that, isn't there? What about you, Luke? What's your story?
Oh, nothing too exciting, I guess. So I grew up Western Queensland, so country kid. I got into mining because I like water oil, so blowing up rocks seemed a pretty fun way to make a living, to be honest. But I never really liked the academic side, so I did 3 years of uni, dropped out, then just worked underground, and I thought that was going to be me forever, buy a farm near a mine and I'd be super happy. And then had the unfortunate, or now fortunate, experience of sitting with a guy called Bill Beeman at the wet mess one night, who was the general manager, and he's trying to talk up how good it is being a mining engineer. And I was like, yeah, I did 3 years, wasn't that exciting. And he goes, oh, shit. And he goes, okay, righto, well, maybe you should try one of these projects on. So I did a project at the mine I was at then, Eloise, which is North Queensland. And then he came back and said, oh, come west and finish your 4th year and come west. And came over here in 06, met another great mentor of mine, Stu Tonkin, who's in the audience. And then kind of stayed here ever since. So, yeah, a fateful beer probably got me back into engineering, and then the rest is history.
Very good. What about you, Paul?
Oh, it's probably not that dissimilar. I grew up in a little country town in South Australia and wanted to do something professional and where I didn't have to live in the city. So I was tossing up between dentistry and engineering, and there's mouths all over the world that are happy that I became a mining engineer.
See, I'm seeing a potential tie with a dentist now. You can supply the gold to the dentist. What a synergy.
Yeah, so no, similar. I went and did my first year of vac work as a mining engineer, and I did that for ICI explosives up at Olympic Dam, measuring all sorts of things about blasts and blowing things up for the holidays. So never looked back from there, moved to Kalgoorlie straight after uni and stayed west.
got to be better than staring into people's mouths all day, right?
100%.
In the productivity conversation, the issue of approvals processes comes up quite a bit as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences at the moment, seeking approvals, and compare that to years gone by?
Personally, we're still finding it quite hard for approvals. And there's been a lot of talk about streamlining processes and the like. But I think every new government comes in, they always say they're going to streamline the process and make sure things go through a bit quicker. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yep.
I think if anything, it tends to get a lot harder. And I don't know whether that's under-sourcing in a department or maybe different hurdle rates that need to be met in different checks. But, it does seem to be harder than what it was
so it's getting
10
worse.
years ago.
Yeah. When you say it's getting harder, is it getting more difficult to tick the boxes, or is it just taking longer to get those boxes ticked?
A little bit of both, but mainly longer. Some of the time frames that you might sit under a review for are probably longer than what you would have done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, it's just getting harder. Like there's more red tape, there's less people there, and there's a few things more concerning when you call up the people that are running the process and you ask them how the process works and they go, I don't know. So I think clarity in the process of exactly how it goes is missing, and there needs to be a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
And that's both an industry and a government thing to keep working together, and there's a lot of industry groups doing that. But we've got a long way to go. And I think we'll get worse before we get better, but we got to band together and get it sorted so we can progress.
I think it's exactly right though that governments keep changing the rules, not only on us but on the people that are going through our approvals and getting through those lists that they have to approve. So, I think that the people in those departments are actually doing their best most of the time to get through those approvals. But as the rules keep changing and governments say we're fast tracking and removing red tape, they're actually making it a lot harder because the process is changing. And exactly like Luke said, the person on the other end of the line says they don't know what it should be like.
That's a bit alarming, isn't it?
A little bit.
Concerning.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that if I asked you guys the same question, maybe out on site or down the pub in about 3 hours' time, I'd probably get a slightly more colourful response to that question.
It's a fair assumption.
Yeah. A few more four-letter words in the reply. Probably.
So, I mean, when you're even sitting down and working out, all right, how do we actually tackle this approval process? Are you even clear what it is that you're trying to do to keep them happy, or is it all a bit of a kind of a guessing game? You think,
I think sometimes,
yeah.
definitely sometimes, like you're wondering what the questions are going to come back with, and you may even, like especially submitting mining proposals and the like, there may even be things you go, we know that we haven't quite covered this off because we don't have the information yet, and we'll answer that as soon as the request for information comes back, and then that'll get completely overlooked and it'll be something completely random that'll get brought up. So those are the kind of things that you're probably looking at it going, well, we've probably noted that there's a gap in our knowledge, but we're trying to fix it.
Yep.
And we'll provide that information later, but they're not picking up that that gap's happened.
Yeah, great. Luke, did you want to add to that? Or no.
No, I'll wait for the beers later.
I'll ask you this. Yeah, you're being very restrained there. I can see you like, but I don't want to put my name on the radar of whoever's going to be in that government agency trying to work out whether I should approve of your next thing or not. Can you honestly say, hand on heart, with all of the extra, checks and hoops you've got to jump through, is it actually creating better outcomes from an environmental point of view, from a heritage point of view, from all of those things, all of the different things that you have to check off? Are these approvals processes actually creating better outcomes in the long term?
No.
Out on site? No.
No. Look, as public companies, we've got a lot of scrutiny.
Yep.
No doubt there is a need for regulation and for that management, but changing them on the whim of someone on a regular basis in terms of what is needed, that is unhelpful for everyone.
Yep.
And that goes for the communities we're working in, the native title parties that we're working with. A constant change in the rules for no good reason is the most unproductive thing you can do.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I think back in the old days, the regulation held the floor and people aimed for the floor. But I think the obligation these days, both from a society perspective and a corporate perspective, is to be good custodians of what we're mining.
Yep.
And I think that far outweighs just the bare minimum obligations. There's very few out there that are doing bare minimum anymore. So I think it's one thing in the industry, the neon lights go up for the bad things that happen, but all the great things that happen, there's an incredible amount of good mining companies out there and good mines run by good people that have a really positive influence on the community they're in that gets overlooked. But that's what upholds the standards, not the bare minimum. So I think it could be streamlined a lot to focus on that. But then just, that's when your audits and your checks keep, bringing that floor up.
Yep.
And I tend to agree, 90% of the companies out there will always do the right thing, but the government's trying to work for 100% right. So there may be 10% of people that maybe want to just get in there, rip things out, maybe not do the best job, and that's what they're trying to guard against. But
Yep.
I think, probably 99% of companies will do the right thing. It's
Yep.
really protecting against that 1% who don't.
So given what we've talked about, it's probably not a great surprise to you then to see in the Fraser Institute polling that came out a couple of months ago to see WA, I think, drop from 4th to 17th on that list as a measure of attractiveness for mining investment in particular jurisdictions around the world. Seeing us plummet down that list, I mean, it doesn't bode well for us, does it?
No, and I think it should be very disappointing to most West Australians at the end of the day. This is a state that enjoys many privileges that most other states in Australia don't, all on the back of mining, and facilitating that to happen in a responsible way as easily as it can should surely be the what the government is aiming to do to keep that prosperity for as long as we can.
I mean, for those playing along at home, Finland was number 1, Nevada was number 2, Alaska 3, and also above us, Guyana was 9th, and the Philippines was just above Western Australia in 16th. So countries from all over the world, in different climates, different government structures, all sorts of things.
I think New Zealand was even rated ahead as WA as
Yeah.
well, which is...
Wow. Someone's happy about that anyway.
I think the takeaway is policy influences investment, opportunities, value creation.
Yep.
So seeing us go down, and you see pick New Zealand, they've got an active policy now to get shared value through mining, and they're pushing approvals through.
Yep.
We can do that too, but what it's saying is it does have an impact. Policy does have a major impact on our ability to create value for communities, for states, for countries, and that's the batting ground we're in. This isn't just small fry. Like the mining industry swings big, so inhibiting that has a negative influence in a major way.
Have you noticed any difference when you're, I suppose, talking to potential international investors? Have you noticed that has registered with them, the fact that WA is now considered a less attractive place to do business? Has it actually had any measurable effect from your end?
Not yet from an operating perspective, but
Yep.
certainly I think from a getting projects up perspective,
Yep.
like that is getting taken into account, where entry-level investment companies are putting their money. That's an issue. But also I think it's not too late for us to come back up. Just as easy as we come down, we get it right, we'll come back up as well.
Yeah.
A very regular question is, what is the approval scenario for this project? So I think that the concern is, will it get approved? I think it's still seen as a great jurisdiction once it is approved and built.
Yeah. I'm going to get to some of the questions there from the audience, because quite a few have come through. Question firstly for you, Paul. How have shareholders responded to the legendary Stu Matthews coming onto your board, especially given his experience in the region? Surely that's a golden win.
Is that from Stu?
Nice,
Yeah. Stu told me he couldn't make it today, actually. But
he might be watching online.
He sent someone in. Yeah, no, look, it was great that we were, Stu retired, and we actively went chasing him. He's got a great track record in the region. He was behind some massive growth in Kambalda and really big discoveries on the same sort of salt lake systems that we have down in Norseman with very similar geology. So we actively went after that. and you know, the fact that he's had such a high-profile job for a long time, he's certainly been very visible, and it's been received very positively, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. I can relate to this next question. I didn't submit it though, just so you know. Paul, what's the worst someone has butchered the pronunciation of your last name?
I'll tell you what, this media.
When I first saw it, I thought I needed to buy a vowel.
You kind of destroyed my opening joke. Usually whoever's presenting gets it very wrong, and I can break the ice with that one, but you got it spot on today. So
You must have had some pearlers over the years, though.
Yeah, vowels get invented very often, and I know the arbor comes before the M very often.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I actually had one lady, I was in a very bad mood at the Good Guys one morning. She said, "What kind of a name is that?" when she was putting it down for the warranty. So yeah, she got she got a pretty rare earful from me. Yeah.
Well deserved by the sounds of it. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, and you know, the uncertainty helping to fuel this interest in gold as a place to park your money these days. A question here about the Trump effect. I mean, is that a thing for you guys? You talk about the Trump effect. I think a lot of people sort of associate uncertainty, not unfairly, you know, uncertainty at the moment in global trade with Donald Trump and his tariff policies. Is the Trump effect, do you think, is there a direct link between that and the gold price?
Well, I think we've definitely seen that at the start of the year.
Yeah.
You know, every time that he decided to put a tariff on something, the gold price shot up as well. But the introduction of tariffs obviously fuels inflation, which is good for gold. But just as much as Trump continually put pressure on the Fed to cut interest rates will also be good for gold.
Yep.
So, you know, he's got a couple of ambassadors that are sitting in the Fed at the moment that are talking they want to cut a full 2 basis points off the interest rate, which would, you know, that's 8 cuts over, 8 months or something, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, that would likely fuel the gold price in US dollar terms past $4,000 an ounce. So yeah, it's promising. It's a good effect.
He's
for
good
us.
for you. Question for you, Luke. You are touted as a bit of a mad genius, their words, not mine, for what you've done with Ora Banda, turning an unloved mine into a producer. Can you share the story of how you did it?
It's not that exciting, I don't think. So I was originally approached for the job a bit over 3 years ago, and I was in Northern Star, which was a fantastic company, fantastic journey, but I wanted to sort of go back. And originally, like when they first approached me with the job, I said absolutely not. So it had sent every company broke there for 20 years. The Davy Hurst curse was well known in the industry. So it was kind of, I just kind of blocked it, and they said, "Oh, can you come up and give an audit and have a look at it?" So I said, "Yeah, sure," a couple of spare days. So I went up, and that's when it got interesting. So like you could very clearly see the standards were sort of substandard, like the mining performance substandard, but the operating ethos was fundamentally broken. So it was a hub and spoke model, small open pit, small mill. And like there's a trap a lot of people fall into in the industry. Just because you can do something better, it still doesn't mean you should do it. And I think the previous, when you track back to 20 years, it was the same operating model. People would come in and go, "We can mine open pits better, we can run the mill a bit better." But it didn't matter how good you were at that. You could be, the best in the world, and it was never going to work. So the other interesting thing, Andy Sher, he was taking me around. He was the one believer in the geology, and he was showing me around the geology. And it became super clear, everyone had followed the strategy. So what was dictating drill programs was looking for small, high-grade pits. And then you have these 2 major shears, regional shears. I had the fortunate, experience of mining, like the same as Leka Shear, 100 kilometres to the south, which is a 10 million ounce system. And you just see the top 100 metres hit and nothing for undergrounds. So at the time, it was less about what was there, but was potentially there. And it was like, what was it? It was a 3-cent stock. It was 38 mil market cap. You got a mill, you got, 2 camps, you had 140 k's of strike on this ridiculously prospective tenement package. I was like, how badly can I fuck it up, really? So that was kind of got me in, and then I got in, and we had 20 mil in the bank. We're losing 4 mil a month. It was one of the most unpleasant years of my life, to be honest. So I underestimated the shock of that, of a poor balance sheet. But then, got a great team, put a great team together, and we're just slowly, trench warfare inching forward. So it looks obvious now, but it had such a stigma to it. People couldn't get past the stigma.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was just coming in with something no one had ever done. I thought that was worth a try.
Yeah.
And then, 3 years in, gold price obviously helps, but it's phenomenal what we're uncovering, which is super exciting.
No, congratulations. A question that's just sort of shot up the list here on the issue of personnel. It asks, if personnel are the downside right now, have you considered the alternative of going back to 8-hour shifts to keep the older 50 to 67 age group in the game?
You're approaching that?
No.
Well, maybe we'll ask the guys in the contracting game. Yeah, I mean,
No.
ripping up the no. Okay.
I think ultimately 12-hour shifts have been, and look, fly-in fly-out's probably the bedrock of what we're doing at most sites now.
Yep.
I'd love to turn around and have a whole heap of residential people out at Kalgoorlie or working at our shifts and the like. But the reality of the situation is, I don't think it's still hard to attract people to live in regional areas.
Yep. Even somewhere as well established as Cal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Disappointing as it is for me to say, after living there for so long, it is hard to always attract people to there.
Yep. Yep. I'm guessing it's a hard no from you guys as well.
Well, look, I think it's hard to get people to live in Kalgoorlie. Try to get them to live in Norseman. So look, I don't think it's a practical solution. With the basically full fly-in fly-out workforce.
Yeah. This final one, because it sort of is a flip side to the question about the Trump effect. Is there also such a thing as the plebiscite effect?
Well, I think that goes a lot to our rankings in the Fraser Institute, to be honest. If you see all jurisdictions across Australia, they've all taken a massive tumble in the rankings, and that is a federal issue.
Yeah.
That decision that was made on McPhillamys was pretty poor.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're still paying the price of that.
We will be.
Yeah. All right. We are out of time. There were so many more questions that came in, so thank you to those who submitted them. But maybe if you get a chance, I'm sure our 3 guests will be here for a little bit longer, so feel free to come and find them at table 6 and put the question to them. But would you please thank our 3 special guests today, Paul and Luke and Rob. And I'll hand over for a more formal vote of thanks to Jordan Pedley.
Thank you so much. There's 550 people in this room today, so you guys definitely drew a big crowd and didn't disappoint, so we really, really appreciate it. Thank you.